Today on the Extreme channel, we are reviewing this custom 1/4 scale Loki on throne piece. You know, you ever get that feeling that you've done this before?
Do you ever have deja vu, Mrs. Lancaster?
I don't think so, but I could check with the kitchen.
I'm Mr. X. This is the Extreme channel where we look at high-end collectibles because we have a lot of them. I'm practicing restraint on swearing. Normally I would say a shite load, but we're saying just a lot. But I just purchased this custom 1/4 scale Loki on throne. It's a custom piece. We don't talk about where it comes from. However, I unboxed this last night. I'm filming this at about 4 a.m. on January 1st. That's why I look like shite. Because I drank a whole bottle of champagne live. So go check out that video right here. But unboxed him and was kind of putting him together. My initial thoughts were I was a little disappointed, but we're going to look at him today. We're going to use the Extreme scale. If you're new to the channel, go check out some other videos. It's a 1 through 5 scale. And as I alluded to in the intro, I've actually done this before because I have another custom 1/4 scale Loki on throne. You can check out that review right here. Now stay tuned towards the end because I have an exciting announcement about both of these pieces. But let's start off. I purchased him because I just thought this concept was awesome and I love throne pieces. I have a huge throne collection, which you may or may not have seen a room tour that is launching sometime this month. You actually haven't seen it. It's going to launch in about a week or so. I'm trying to remember when I film all my videos. But I thought the concept was spectacular. And last night, as I was drunkenly opening this live on camera, my initial thoughts were a little and there's still some very things in here, but the more I look at it, the more I like it. Purchase price on him was right around $900, I believe, and then shipping from China was about $300. Let me get the dimensions for you. And he actually had a lot of pieces, which we're going to talk about. And as always with most statues, it's much bigger than you think it'll be in real life. So the base is about 23 inches wide at the widest point, probably about 19 inches deep. And the height is 22.5 inches. Now, a lot of people were worried because this specific custom group, they came out with a Doom on Throne recently, and I never purchased it, but based on the pictures, it doesn't look like it's true 1/4 scale. 1/4 scale means it's 4 times smaller than it'd be in real life. It actually looked closer to 1/5 scale, 5 times smaller. But this is definitely in scale. I can let you know that right now. No issues with that. He had a number of pieces to him. The base and the throne were all one piece. Loki himself was a number of pieces. His legs, the bottom half of his torso was one piece. The top half, his arms, his head, his horns, his ponytail, that was all separate pieces. The little sash on the side here was another piece. The candles were separate pieces. The chessboard had obviously the chess pieces, the top of the chessboard, and then you have all of these skeleton hands. There's 4 of them around it that are separate pieces that don't fit in very well. We're going to talk about with design. And then it came with a whole bunch of birds. One of my birds had a broken leg, but here's a picture of those. And I have no freaking clue where these go. I looked at the pictures of other people's, and I looked at the prototype, and they're nowhere on there, but I don't like them anyway. Maybe find another statue to put them on. It also came with a certificate of authenticity right here. They do this with all their pieces. And remember, we can't talk about where custom pieces come from. See what I did there? So let's jump into the review on this piece. And as I said, the more I look at it, the more I like it. And our review consists of 5 different pieces: concept, design, paint, sculpt, and overall. I'm trying to think of a better word for overall. Our final score, maybe? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What should we call that last category? I don't like overall. Starting with the concept, and this is why I bought this piece. I have another Loki on Throne that also has an amazing concept that was, I think, the first review I ever did on YouTube. And ironically, I think I did it almost a year ago today that I was filming this. But Loki is on his throne, and it's a very Loki type throne. So it's not like a king's throne, but more of a throne carved out in a mountain. And there's some magical symbols on the bottom we'll look at later. And he has this really crazy looking evil chessboard in front of him. And we don't know if he is actually moving them or moving the Avengers and the Destroyer, or if he's planning on what he's going to do. We don't know if we have some Clash of the Titans action going on here. But it is very interesting, and he's thinking, he's making his move, his arm is outstretched, and very serious but evil at the same time. And when I saw the initial concept of this piece, I was blown away, and I think they executed it well. It's exactly what I expected to get. It's exactly Loki. Loki's a planner. He's a schemer. He's really trying to always has something up his sleeve, and I love this concept. Like I said, it's kind of a Clash of the Titans concept. What I mean by that is in the original Clash of the Titans, for those of you that are haven't lived in 5 decades and 2 different millenniums like we have, the gods used people as chess pieces to move them around. I'm going to give the concept, and this is the reason I bought it, I think it's an X. I think it's a 5 out of 5. This is exactly what Loki is supposed to be. They nailed it. It's very cool. I think that's one of the reasons people are loving so much on this piece. Next category is design. With design, we talk about a number of things. Did everything fit well together? Does it make sense? Were there seam lines? Displayability? Switch out options? Well, first of all, there are no switch out options. What you see is what you get. However, you can move the chess pieces around. As you see, I on here have the 2. I don't even know who they are. Shows my comic knowledge. And then everyone else kind of facing off versus Destroyer. So you can remove or add. And one of the things, they just sit on there. They're not magnetized. But there's like these little pads. They're sticky pads that it came with. And this, to me, is stupid as shit. I'm not going to put sticky pads on a chessboard. They're actually not falling out when I move it, so I'm not too worried because my statues, once I put them in the display, they're stationary. However, these hands right here, they barely fit in. If you look at them funny, they fall out. And I've tried them in a number of different positions. It's the same either way, so that's a huge flaw. Obviously, it wasn't designed that way, but that's how the design ended up happening. Loki, some of the stuff fitting into Loki was kind of loose, and his torso also leans forward. So if you look at the back, through the back, which you'll never do, you can kind of see a little bit of gap with him as well. So there are definitely some design issues. Another design issue is the fact that it's so big. That's what she said. It is so big, and it's too big. They could have cut off some of these sides right here, because as collectors, I always say this, space is our enemy. I think it took up too much room. It's not a centerpiece. It's a secondary villain. So I think that is a miss on it as well. Now, one cool thing it does have, even though it doesn't have any switch out options, it does have a light up feature. So here you see the chessboard not lit up, and then here is the chessboard lit up. And it looks cool in real life, but it looks even cooler on camera right here. So I like that they did that. It's kind of complicated though. You actually have to remove the chessboard, and here's a picture actually of how that works. And like most light up features, I never will use other than when I'm showing it to you guys. Another design issue, and this is kind of in regards to space, it's more conceptual. I understand why they did it, but Loki is barely sitting on his throne because he's playing chess. So he's moved up, he's paying attention to the game, so there's a lot of wasted space back there. And this I'm not going to knock him for because it goes with the concept, and I don't know what I would do to fix it. But you look at you have the birds where I don't know where they go. They weren't on the prototype. One came broken, which sucks. You have the issues with all the skeleton hands. You have the issues with Loki. Some of his horns are a little loose. His back torso. The fact that the base is a little bit big. I'm sorry. I think the design is a U. It's a 2 out of 5. definitely some missed opportunity. Maybe it was in the QC process. Maybe it was in the oversight. Maybe it was the factory. Who knows? When we're buying a $1,000 statue, that stuff should be fixed. Now we're going to jump into the paint and sculpt, and we're going to start at the bottom and go to the top, and then we're going to rank them separately at the end, unless they happen to have the same grade. But I'm kind of torn on this. There are some parts that are really good and some parts that are not. And when I initially opened it, and ironically, I remember when I reviewed the last piece from this group, it was actually a Star Wars piece, a Darth Raven. Here's the link to that. I had the same feelings. As I unboxed it, I was a little disappointed, but then when I reviewed it and looked at it, I liked it more and more. And that's what's happening here. So you be the judge as we go through it. Let me know your thoughts on, hey, that's cool, that's not cool, starting at the base. He has this base, and as I said, it's kind of a cave-like base. So it's not concrete, but it's like finished concrete. And I think it looks good for that. I'm a big critique of concrete. You guys have heard me say that a million times. And it's the way they painted it, it looks dark, like it is in a cave, and it almost looked like there's a moist effect that we're actually going to see on some rocks in the throne. And on the top here, you see kind of those symbols I was talking about, where it's almost, you almost think of like a cult or satanic symbols where they're doing worship or magic, which is very, very Loki. And the pavement is old. It's been there a while. There's some indentions in it. Here's the rocks, and these look really good, actually. They have this clear resin glistening effect. It's these different gray, white, blue colors. It actually looks pretty, to be honest with you. It's strange saying that word, but it does look pretty. It adds a little bit to the statue. I don't like the fact that it takes up more room, but when you look at the paint and sculpt of it, it's done pretty well, actually. Here's pictures of his throne. Again, looks like it's carved out of a mountain, so he didn't inherit this throne. He made it for himself because he's secluded. At the bottom here, you see darker colors, but then as you move up, it looks like it's been washed away by rain or, puddles. And then you have a huge moist glistening effect on the top. And keep in mind, most people, how they display this, you will never see this part of it. But it's neat that there's some stuff going on here. Here's the sides of his throne. You almost see some stalactites forming out of the bottom of it, where he's kind of shaved it down at the top. Again, some different coloring, browns and whites. The other side of his throne, here is the sash. So this is his coat or something, and this looks great. When we get to Loki, you're going to see, I wish they would have done more of this. The texture on it, the way it flows, it's really, really cool. And I think they added this as an afterthought on, hey, it's kind of plain, kind of boring. Here's the candles really quick, at least the tops of them. Candles are always very difficult to do. I rarely see someone do them very well. And they look, both the paint and sculpt on them. Not huge fan. Let's take a look at the chessboard, or the pedestal that it's on. It looks okay. I think the sculpt could have been a little bit cleaner. I like the different things they put in there. There's feathers and kind of a Grim Reaper on the front, and these Celtic type masks with skulls underneath them. The skulls don't look good. The print's not very, and the paint's not very clean on it. I like the fact that the rest of the gray colors are a different color than the base. It doesn't look bad, but we shouldn't be saying it doesn't look bad. Take a look at the top where you see the skull hands and the skulls. The skull hands look okay, but the skulls do not look good. Wrong color of paint on them. And they're not, there's no detail. So here's the chessboard. It looks all right. It's more plasticky. But I wish they would have made it stone-like, but I understand they wanted a light-up feature that no one's going to use, so that was a miss. And there was some controversy with the characters, so here's some pictures of the characters. I don't mind that these are, like Iron Man's mask is a little bit off, because we don't know, these could be representations of the characters that he made. This could be how the characters look in the Clash of the Titans type magic he's using. And for how small they are and the fact that they're not centerpieces, they're chess pieces, I think they're done good. Obviously, there's not much detail in them, but it's there doesn't need to be. And now let's get to Loki. Starting at his boots. His boots are actually done really well. They're this dark type green, and you'll see that dark type green a few other places on his costume. There's some folds in them. Some cool texture. This leather green boot. And then you move up. Someone tell me what these are called. I was reviewing these on something else recently. This feather type material, almost like a fur coat that's coming out of his boots. This sucks. This is horrible. The paint's bad, the sculpt is bad, and unfortunately we're going to see more of this on him. Here's his thighs, and I'm looking at two things here. I'm looking at the muscles and I'm looking at the costume. I like that there's a dichotomy to the costume. Look at that big word. Is part of it is this slightly textured darker green, and then the other half is a smoother, lighter green with some different shadowing in there. And at first, I didn't like this, but the more I look at it, it looks good. I think the musculature is a little bit overdone, but however, the seated position he's in, that makes some sense. And a lot of this is actually covered up by the chessboard. You're seeing pictures because I've removed the chessboard pedestal just to show these pictures. Here's his torso. Very fit. So he's a lot more fit than I would expect Loki to be as far as muscular, but the anatomy looks good. And his long loincloth here, you can't even see because the chessboard is in front of it. So I appreciate the fact that they still made sure Loki looked great, even though you're not going to see a lot of these parts. Same thing going on with his anatomy in the chest area. He does have one mixed media chain holding his overcoat or whatever that is. And let's look at that again. This is just like his boots. It's horrible. The sculpt could have been done much better. And the problem is it's so big and takes up so much room, so this really, really hurts the statue, unfortunately. It doesn't ruin it, but it hurts it. Let's look at his arms. Same costume going on. They should have had a few more folds in his costume. I think that would have helped. I'm cool with the paint. It's good. It's not amazing. Like I said, I like the different shadowing they used on there. And then his wrist gauntlets. It doesn't look like real leather. I've seen so many statues where they sculpt the paint and the sculpt of it look like real leather. Definitely looks polystone. So I think that could have been done better. But his gloves underneath it look good. Same material as his boots. Kind of that cracked texturing on it. Dark green. And his fingers actually look okay. Look decent. Check out his helmet here. I like the shading they used on this as well. Kind of different colors of gold, and it's not too bright. Here's his ponytail, which is not needed in my opinion, and you can actually remove it if you want. There's a small peg hole, but it's not done very well, and it's, like I said, it's not needed. So let's check out his portrait. This is, obviously a big one. That's what she said. I like it. I do. When I first pulled it out of the box, I didn't. But the more I look at it, I like the shading they used. He's a little bit darker than I think he'd be for hanging out in a cave. But the different variations make him look very evil, very badass. I like the expression on his face, and his hand positions that you saw add to that. He's very contemplating, very thinking, but still kind of an evil smirk. A lot of comic draws, obviously nothing from Tom Hiddleston here. And check out his eyes. So they have this, it's not glow-in-the-dark paint, but it almost looks like it does glow. That green paint they made around his eyes. So that makes me think maybe he is using magic with the chessboard. Really adds to the statue and the character. So let's grade. I think paint and sculpt are going to fall in the same categories. There's some parts that are really good. I really like the rocks. The base is okay. Loki's costume is okay, other than that brown feather shit. That's bad. And I think in the end it ends up being a V, a very nice. A 3 out of 5 for both the paint and the sculpt, which is kind of what I expected, to be honest with you. This group pumps out a lot of pieces, and sometimes it's hit and miss. I think this is the 4th or 5th piece, but I am very happy to have this guy. So the final score, again, put in the comments what you think we should call the final category. It's kind of all over the map, but I think it's no-brainer that it's a V. It's a very nice statue. It's 3 out of 5. And the exciting announcement I have is, since we have this guy and we have the previous one I reviewed, that means Extrumble time. If you are new to the channel or you don't know what an Extrumble is, it is an extreme rumble. So because we have 2 custom 1/4 scale Loki on Throne statues, we're going to do a video of them together. I'm actually going to film it right now, but it'll launch after this. I don't know how long. When you're on camera and you got to think like that, and I don't edit shit like that out. Oh, shite. I did good. But let me know your thoughts on this piece, whether you would pick him up if you were an Avengers or Throne lover, and why you would pick him up and why you would not. But I appreciate you guys watching. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is really exciting. We are doing the top 10 most anticipated licensed pieces in 2020 that are coming to the Extreme Collection, and I think you guys will be surprised. Make sure to tune in. Take care.